Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ask Me Anything, where we sit down with our nonprofit leaders from the greater Helena area and learn about their organizations and how they make our hometown great. Our May nonprofit of the month is the Foundation for Montana History, and we have Zach here, or Zachary.
Zach's fine.
Zach's fine, either way. And you're going to tell us a bit about the foundation
Yes,
and about you. And so why don't you introduce yourself and tell us how long you've been with the foundation?
Perfect. Should I look at the camera when I talk?
Whatever you want.
Okay, sounds good. Hi, I'm Zach Coe. I'm the Community Outreach Manager for the Foundation for Montana History. I've been in this role for a little over 2 years now. I was a volunteer with the foundation before that, and I'm just very excited to be here, and thank you for having us.
And you're the Community Outreach Manager?
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so you're out talking to people.
I'm out talking to people any way I can get in front of them. Yep.
So when you volunteered, what was your role then?
I did a little bit of research, and then I was an early person on our tour program. So
we're going to hear more about that.
Yes, we are. Yep. So I started as a tour guide and then worked my way up to this role where I now manage the tour program.
Very cool. What were you researching?
Oh, at that time, ghost towns in Montana primarily.
Fun.
We had a big interest in them, and it was during COVID, so we kind of needed something we could do at home base, and that was a lot of fun. I got to go explore a lot around the state and see them.
I was a history major, so I'm a little bit of a nerd.
Oh, same.
And anybody who watches this will know I'm a nerd in a lot of directions, so this happens. So tell us in 10 words or less, and I'm going to count them, what your organization does.
We raise money and grant it out to history projects.
That's pretty straightforward. Okay, I love it. We raise money and grant it out to history projects. So we do collect some questions from our viewers on Facebook, and sometimes if you guys don't write in, we make up our own. I'm not going to tell you which these are, but so you're a statewide organization. You fund projects all over the state. What do you have going on in Helena, or what have you done in Helena that you know of?
Well, so many projects in Helena over the years. We helped repair some structural damage to the Bluestone House, if you're familiar with it, right next to Fire Tower Hill. We've given a grant to the Fire Tower to help restore it. We worked with the Montana Club to help restore their windows, their stained glass windows some years ago. But primarily what we do in the Helena area that's more outward facing is our tour program. So we run Helena history tours. And what's really cool about this program, what's so great about it is not only does it bring people into Helena, but it's also a program for the locals to enjoy, learn, and kind of appreciate the history that's all around them in the Queen City. And that program, it was really an extension of our mission, because everything we raise for the program, all the money that comes into it from ticket proceeds and everything, goes back into our grant program. So it goes into projects around Helena and around the state. So by enjoying and supporting history, you're supporting a broader mission of history in the state.
It probably makes a lot of things more accessible to Helenans too, because I mean, all of Montana is pretty rich history, but Helena in particular has old history. I mean,
absolutely.
There's some pretty neat stuff that happened in the 1800s here, and that is still kind of impacting our world.
Isn't it so cool? Yeah, and it's all around us. And I don't know if I think people appreciate it and realize it, but then hearing kind of the context of it is really fun, and kind of seeing it from that perspective. And we do this as a live guide program, so there's someone with you explaining it. They can answer your questions. They can kind of interpret it with you there. And oftentimes we hear a lot of myths in Helena, and we try to expand on those and see if they're actually just community rumors, or if they're based in true history in the town. And many times we're pleasantly surprised with what we find. Oftentimes the truth is even cooler than the legend.
Yeah. Do you have an example? That sounds fun.
Yeah. Let me see. So like the origin of the Bluestone House, for example, that's one I'm very familiar with. Supposedly it was built by the architect, James Stranahan. He also built the Diamond Block and Atlas blocks in town, if you're familiar.
That actually makes sense.
Yeah. You can kind of see the similarities in his style. He very much had his own look and feel to his buildings, when in reality, we know that the Bluestone House now, through research and, kind of what was passed down, we know that it was actually built for a madam who used to occupy that area by the name of Lily McGraw. She was a very famous high-end lady in the red light district. She was very successful, quite the entrepreneur, and she designed that home not as a brothel or anything like that, but as she wanted a place to kind of look down on her business, and she wanted just this glamorous and unusual home for the town to kind of appreciate. And one thing I love about her was she I don't know if she demanded it, but she, you know, very firmly requested that it be made only from Helena material. So things that were found right here in the Prickly Pear Valley. So the majority of the stone comes from Last Chance Gulch and the top of Mount Helena.
Oh, wow.
And
I didn't know that one.
Isn't that fun? Yeah. So that's like one of those myths that, you know, and we get it a lot. And I love when people interact with us and say like, well, I heard this version of it. And it's like, that's great. Here's what we've found and why we, you know, believe in it. And
here's what research supports.
Exactly.
Here's where it's gone.
And it, you know, I think it continues the conversation, and that's what we're all about.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's something, you know, I was a history major in undergrad, and, you know, people are like, well, yeah, that's just stuff that happened. And it's like, no, history is very much like it's stuff that's happening too.
Exactly.
It's interesting.
Hey,
and
I'm glad you said that. That's kind of our tagline of our organization. History is happening.
Yeah. It's not gone. It's like it impacts what we do now and how we interact and how we respect what's happened. And anyways, there's absolutely. I'm a nerd on this. So tell me about. I was going to ask you something that you're excited about, but I think you're excited about history tours. So let's talk about those more. There's a few different ones, right? And,
Right.
Yeah,
I can get into that for hours, so I'll try to be brief.
Yeah,
but
sure.
Essentially, in the summer this year, we'll have 5 tours, 7 days a week. So 5 different offerings that go every day of the week, at least one a week, one offering per day.
Okay.
Exactly. Some days we'll have multiple offerings. But we really wanted to do this just to make it more accessible to the community because, you know, people work, they have their own schedules, travelers are coming in and out, and so that was a major priority for us. And so we started with a regular offering in Reader's Alley, which we're very excited about. We've had that request to do for years, and we finally are at the point where we can. So we'll, 4 days a week, we'll have someone in Reader's Alley working live tours, which is great. And then we still have our evening tours. We have our breweries and brothels tour, talks about the Bluestone House and many other sites on that end of the walking mall and kind of up and around it by the fire tower and everything. And that one's been our most popular one for years. So, of course, we have to bring it back. Yeah. Then we have our Miners to Millionaires tour, which goes from Reader's Alley down the walking mall. And it really, I think I love that one because it gives you a great appreciation for the buildings that were here and were, you know, along the Gulch and the buildings that are here.
Right.
And it gives you that whole story. So I'm really excited to see that one come back out. And then this year we'll also be on Mount Helena on a family-friendly tour called Adventure on the Ambrose Trail.
Okay.
And Mount Helena is such an awesome resource and awesome place to recreate for this community. So it's so cool to have a tour on it now that really tells the story of how Mount Helena and Helena grew up together. And that's kind of the point of that one. And then finally, for our summer tour series, we're going to do a ride on the Bert and Ernie's pub trolley called Pedaling Through the Past. Yeah, and that one gets us up to the Mansion District and kind of the West End homes in town, which otherwise are kind of difficult to get to on a walking tour.
It'd be a long walk.
Oh, exactly. And I know people would be willing to do it, but this is so much nicer because you get to just pedal the bike, enjoy a sip of coffee or, you know, a refreshment.
Or something else.
Exactly. While you learn. And
that's pretty cool. I didn't realize you guys had partnered up with the Pedal Pub. That's pretty fun. And that's pretty new too. That's just been a couple years now.
Yeah, I think it just started last year.
Season?
So we feel really fortunate that we got in with the Pedal Pub the pub trolley early. And so we get to, that really expands our range of how far we can go with our offerings. So then finally the big piece is at the kind of mid to end of September through Halloween, we will be doing haunted tours.
Oh, fun.
Everybody loves haunted tours. I love haunted tours. I mean, what's not to love? They're a blast hearing ghost stories. But the kicker with that is it'll be once again on the Bert and Ernie's pub trolley. So we can cover more ground. We can, there's music, there's lights. You can dress up in costumes. You get to go into businesses. I mean, it's just quite the experience. Last year we did it, and we sold out in 24 hours.
That's awesome.
Our whole ticket system, it nearly crashed because there was such a heavy interest.
So much traffic.
Exactly.
On the site.
So we're trying to really build up our offering for that this year so we can get as many people on the pub trolley as possible to tell as many ghost stories as possible. Last year, for example, we granted money to a project in Big Fork that's going to essentially build an interactive exhibit of things they found in the river systems around Big Fork. So it's an underwater interactive exhibit.
That's just interesting.
Exactly. And it's just one of those ways that people really use their creativity and their history and how they combine them to allow people to experience the story of their community. And that's happening all around Montana. and in Helena, and it's great to see.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Well, you mentioned something. We've talked a bit about how you guys raise money and then send it on to other projects. We get this question a lot at HACF. I think a lot of foundation, anything with the name foundation, I think they're like, well, why, if you're giving away money, why do you need money? Why, if you need money, why don't you just keep the money we gave? People get confused sometimes. So tell me a little bit about why should people support organizations, foundations like yours, like programs that are like, why don't I just say I'm going to go find something and give it my monies directly?
Right. Well,
and I probably gave a hint right there. So.
Oh no, that's fine. I mean, the projects don't end, and it's ongoing work, and that's great, really, when you think about it, because that means in our case, more stories are becoming available and being shared, and it's great to feel a part of that, especially because history in particular is so ingrained in our state's culture. So it's so important to be there for it, because when it's gone, it can be really hard to get back.
Sure.
And so I think there is that sense of urgency, but also belonging to this bigger idea of where you live and your sense of place. So I think in our example, like even if it seems like a project is quote unquote complete, there's always more to do. There's always more to be discovered, more to save, more to work for. And it's so cool that communities like Helena are so forward thinking and preservation minded that they want that. So I think that's, from our donors, that's some of the consistent feedback we receive is we want to help continue this ongoing work and legacy that's, being left behind by these projects.
Yeah. Well, I know when we get questions like that too, and I'm always the first to say, if you have like a specific passion project or organization that's super close to your heart, by all means give there. But when you're giving to a foundation, it's not just about the things that are known now. It's about the things that we're preparing for. Or I think in your case too, not every, it would probably take a lot of research to even realize some of the other projects that are out there. And those people might not be able to connect to the donors that would care about that. So
that's so
if
true.
We kind of get these themes together and get people who care about preserving history in one spot, then kind of has more power in a group than we would
and that's
individually project by project.
That's so well said, and that's the wonderful part of being a statewide organization. It's not just about what we can provide, it's who we can connect you with and how we can show all the great work being done. And that's our website, mthistory.org, is meant to be that. It's meant to show that this isn't just kind of collection of communities working towards their own goals. It's a state, it's a people, it's a like-minded group that is working so hard, and that comes in many different forms, but it's there. And it's awesome to see.
And it's important for a lot of reasons. I mean, I think the tourism angle alone shows you that history has an economic benefit to a community, right? I mean, that's a big deal. And that's part of, how Montana survives and grows and does our things. But it's also, I almost feel like there's a moral obligation to...
That's well said.
To hang on to these things and to make sure that we know what happened and know how to revisit it. So.
Well, and it's worth saying that tourism, I think, is the second largest industry in Montana. And so we may as well, when they're coming in, they may as well hear the story the way we want it told. And that's, that comes in many different forms, community by community, but it's important to have that available and set that record straight.
So if our viewers are from Helena, that doesn't mean you can't go on a Helena history tour, because there's probably stuff you don't know. Or like imagine like you've got a family reunion or you've got people in town. Like that's probably a pretty fun way to experience the community.
I call it the in-law effect, because every time I see somebody on a tour, they go, I'm here with my in-laws. Please talk for an hour and a half so I don't have to.
Oh, that's sweet. I have the nicest in-laws in the world.
And as do I.
But that'd be pretty fun.
As do I. But I see a lot of that, though, where it's a blend of people, of locals, bringing friends and extended family and everybody who's visiting the area coming on the tours. And there's something for everybody on them.
Sure.
And that's another reason we love having so many different offerings, because it approaches similar questions from a different perspective.
Right. So if you have like a gang of 5-year-olds, maybe don't do breweries and brothals.
I wouldn't recommend that one.
But, maybe you do Helena instead.
Exactly.
Perfect.
Exactly.
And then when do they start? When does your season begin?
June 13th.
June 13th.
Yep.
Okay, so you're a May nonprofit of the month, but don't forget about them by June.
Yep. And you can start booking them now. So
awesome.
Bookings are live and available. They book up quick, especially early in the season. So I would highly recommend getting on it if you're interested in doing it. And you can try one. If you like it, come join the other 4.
Yeah, I mean, you could do a different one with a different group every week.
Exactly.
And then how much has that been a pretty good economic draw? Like, has that been building some stuff out? Like, has that been...
That's a great question.
helping?
Yeah, it really has. It's been helping our grant program first and foremost, because that's where the ticket proceeds go. But in addition to that, on these tours, we can bring as many as 25 people. So when we're done, we always like to end downtown at a business to encourage them to partake. And it's been a really big help to our local businesses and our local economy. And because of that, we have so many wonderful sponsors to thank. And I'm just going to cheat a little and say,
that's okay.
We had Visit Helena in Reader's
Alley. I was
Alley.
going to say that makes sense.
Oh, I know. Yeah, perfect partner. But then we have AARP Montana, who, thanks to them, all of our tickets for anybody age 50 and up are half off this year. Because
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so they covered that, and that's wonderful. We have Blackfoot River Brewing Company. Couldn't do it without them, especially on breweries and brothels. We have Point S Tire Service, who provided the tires for our pub trolley so it can get around longer and smoother, which is really great. We have Blue Cross Blue Shield, the Windbag Saloon, of course, the Base Camp, Diggett Solutions, Mosaic Architecture, 10 Mile Brewery, and First Interstate Bank. And it's been, all these businesses want to see downtown and our community thrive. So we really, without the participants and without them, this wouldn't be possible.
And I mean, the kind of future of downtown Helena, I think, has been a little bit of a question to some, with the DHI changes and things like that. And downtown, I'm here to tell you, is alive and well, and
absolutely
under no risk. I mean, really, it just means the businesses are picking up more of the own events and really kind of leading some of those things.
They're doing a great job.
They're doing a really great job. But they always would love a little more.
Absolutely.
Attention, so
absolutely,
always a good thing.
And we're trying to get it to them, and I think it's working. I mean, last year we toured with 2,000 people in the area, and we made sure to bring them all through downtown and try to give them as much time as we could in downtown. And that's very much the economic driving part of our program, is very much what it's rooted in. It's starting at a business, ending at a business, showcasing a business, maybe telling a story of a business, especially if they're in a historic building.
And there really are a lot. I mean,
Windbag
alone has some pretty fun stories.
The Windbag, one of my favorites. Yep.
Well, thanks for being here. And I mean, really, it sounds like there's many, many more stories to be found. So website mthistory.org.
That's it. Yep.
Perfect. And for those of you watching, thank you so much. May was also the month where we hosted Greater Helena Gives. We've still got Dawn and Orbit hanging out, and raised $271,000 for 111 nonprofits in about a day. So we're all doing our part to keep our nonprofit community rolling. But it sounds to me like if you've got a little bit of time in the summer, if you've got some people coming for a visit, good time to take advantage of a Helena history tour. Now, are these happening in any other communities, or are we just that lucky in Helena?
We're just that lucky in Helena right now. The idea,
we're lucky that we're your home base.
Absolutely. We want to see it in other communities, but right now we're in Helena, and we're happy to be here.
Yeah. And for our nonprofit friends, you guys also have in the past offered some grant writing opportunities and things like that. So
yes, if you follow our newsletter, you'll get updates on grant writing workshops, cemetery preservation workshops, various other resources, especially for preservation and things of that nature, but also resources to help with grant writing and that whole process. We have a great team, and we really like to be involved with that. So we're around in a variety of ways. This fall we'll be doing an antiques appraisal fair. That'll be in Kalispell.
Oh, that's fun.
But a really fun way to engage the public, because we're all about that. We like engaging with the public. We like showing why history matters and why and how history is happening.
Well, thanks so much, Zach. We're really happy to have had you, and tune in and check out the Helena history tours if nothing